guys, it's a Sentinel from across the tabletop. Welcome to a quick rundown of a list that I'm taking to Twisted Dice's tournament on the weekend coming up. I believe it's Oblivion, Twisted Dice Oblivion. It's going to be amazing. There's 32 plus players going. We've got some incredible lists that are going to be there with the new balanced data sheets that have been released by the GW. There's going to be some new balanced armies there. We've seen that I've seen on the list already the orcs have been rebalanced, so the flyer balance within the ABMech and things like that. So it's going to be great. Quick update on what happened the weekend before. I went to a doubles tournament with Twisted Dice member Darren. We had my 1,000-point army and his 1,000-point army of orcs and Imperial Fists fighting off against another, I think it was 12 teams in total, and we came first. Yeah, it was amazing. My first tournament win with Imperial Fists, and I understand that it was a shared win with the orcs, but I'm still thrilled that I had a tournament win with Imperial Fists. Looking forward to try and pushing that and having some additional wins on top of that, or podiums at that. Greetings from the Warp with the guys that did the tournament. They gave us a beautiful certificate to say thanks very much for turning up and winning. So the Warp doubles best alliance came to me and Darren from Twisted Dice. Super thrilled with that. Set me up for a great potential at the tournament, his tournament that he's running with Ace Face, and they released the lists yesterday, and they did the pairings. So I saw the first army that I'm going up against. But I'll run through the list. The last time you checked, the last time you saw the list was when I was previewing the 1,000 points. I took 2 quad heavy bolters in that 1,000-point army at the doubles, and they performed amazing. I remember playing them in 8th a lot with the extra damage that they used to do in turn 1, doing the flat 2 damage with the super doctrines that we used to have. And now that heavy bolters are 2 damage anyway, at 75 points, who can complain? I had the eradicators with the heavy melter rifles, 6 shots at 24-inch range. You know, doing minimum 3 damage at 24 inches, 5 damage at half range at 12. But I thought, for 150 points, I could squeeze in 2 quad heavy bolters and get 24 heavy bolter shots, exploding 6s at 36-inch range, zoning out that backfield a little bit more consistently and still having the range and not having to move with them. I thought, like I said, I really enjoyed them at the doubles, and why not try them again here? So I ditched the eradicators, put these in, submitted the list. So what you see is the finalized list of the finalized army that I'll be taking to the Twisted Dice Oblivion tournament at the end. Well, it's Thursday tonight, so in 2 days essentially. So I've got in front of me my chapter master right at the front there. He's my first HQ. It is a battalion of 2,000 points on the nose. Now, previously I've run him as the support element, and again he'll be running him as the support element. He's not my smash captain. He's not the one that's going to be at the front lines dealing the damage. He's from the Indominus box set. He has the relic shield, the relic sword, so he can withstand hopefully the first round of combat against most things. I generally don't lose him in the first round. It is the second round, but again, he doesn't do any damage back, 1 or 2 if he's lucky. But it's the consistency where he's able to put out that supporting element of the bubble of rerolls and efficiencies. So I've gone with the Hand of Dawn, so the extra D3 CP. So this army starts with 5 CP. That means I spent 7 at the beginning of the game, and he is able to bring back D3 of those. So hopefully start on 6, maybe 8 before the game starts. Then I've given him Master of the Codex. Again, this is from the Chapter Master upgrade, so I can select a unit, make them reroll everything while they're within 6. But the Master of the Codex, every battle round in my command phase on a 4, I can generate an additional CP. Again, this is just so the Imperial Fists, because they have so many great stratagems that are 2 CP, This allows you further on in the game, if you're running low on CP, as in you don't have any at the beginning of the battle round, and becomes your command phase, and you roll that 4, you now starting with 2 in your command phase. That allows you then to consider, if there is a vehicle still on the table, to use the +1 to wound against the vehicle stratagem, or you need to use exploding bolters on your intercessor unit, or maybe you would like to use transhuman and pain as a lesson on a unit to try and keep them around a bit longer. I definitely know how that pays out against the orc buggies. On a 5-man intercessor unit with transhuman, pain as a lesson, sticking them in cover, you'll be quite surprised how many will survive from a 3-unit buggy. I think I lost 1 the other day. I got lucky, let's just say that. So yeah, there are some benefits out there that could be potentially useful from that. He's also got the Eye of Hypnoth. Now, normally I take the Armor Angelicus, or the Angel Armor Artifice from the Chapter Master bit, which gives him the extra wound, the extra toughness. But I just found in the last few games I've been playing and tournaments that I used that in, it's great on him. It's amazing that he sticks around a little bit longer. But again, the efficiency drops from the army because there's no lieutenant in the army. So it basically becomes a lieutenant only in shooting phase. So I don't get it in the combat bit, but I definitely get it in every time the unit shoots. So perfect. So he's proper, the proper reroll bubble guy. And then just above him, you'll see in the shots is my Tech Marine. Now the Tech Marine is a Primaris Tech Marine. Love him to bits. He obviously makes one of my dreadnoughts +1 to hit. I was running the vehicle for a while, the Gladiator, especially in a couple of tournaments. The Gladiator performed well, but he just doesn't. I don't know. I feel that the Gladiator, I felt, was leading one of the table sides and wasn't sticking around the Tech Marine enough. And once he starts degrading it, it's pretty much in effect. It doesn't do anything. So the Gladiator's gone, and I've replaced it with a Redemptor, essentially, just to bulk out that dreadnought sort of assets in the army. He has I really wanted to go with the Warlord trait for Rights of War, so he gives everybody OBSEC who are core around him. That means all the dreadnoughts essentially would be core, but with the CP being run low already, having the 3 relic contemptors and the Leviathan and the additional Warlord trait and relics that I take, I decided to stave off it. It's probably going to kick me later on, and I'll tell you if it made any difference within the games, the Rights of War, if I could have swung it a few more points here and there, and I'll let you know if the Rights of War and the Tech Marine with the contemptors around him is more beneficial than not. But I have taken the Reliquary of Galathmore. I noticed on the I know in the tournaments alone there are far more psychic armies being produced. The Tyrannid armies are now coming back. The Thousand Sun armies are back on the table. The Grey Knights are creeping up there as well. And there are 3 prominent armies that deal very well in the psychic phase. So the Reliquary of Galathmore allows you to do a -1 to psychic test while we're being within 18 inches. That is a risk. I know 18 inches is quite short. But it also gives you, if they do fail, a chance to do mortal wounds on the psychic unit. And everybody knows that mortal wounds are the way forward in the game. So if you want to win, it's the amount of mortal wounds you can do that helps you to win that game. So that's what he's doing in the army. Is there as a supporting element, of course, repair the vehicles, do the deny that witch sort of aspect of the deny the psychic powers. And that's his supporting element. He has 4 servitors around him. At 30 points, great little unit to keep him survival. Stick at the back of the board, even stick in reserve for Rod or engage on all fronts and things like that. And if you are going up against the Orcs army, you could always just put them in reserve the first turn, so they're not getting the freebooters, kill the first unit, but you can always probably outrange them, stick them somewhere where the freebooters aren't going to get that first kill against them. So that's the Tech Marine, that's his servitors. We'll go on to the troops. I'm sticking with the 10-man intercessor unit with Power Fist, and then the 2 assault intercessors. I have considered changing the assault intercessors to just standard intercessors, but that's 10 points more to do that. And then I'd have to consider dropping something like the servitors, or maybe taken the las fusils off and just going with the bolt rifles. But at the moment, I'm quite happy with what they're doing. Sticking in one of the units in reserve and having that threat that comes on the side or on the backboard if you're going up against an assaulting army is huge. So they're the standard. Sergeant on the Incest unit has the Power Fist. They're assault bolters, so they're 30 shots, 3 shots per guy, 30 shots in the unit at 24. They're my advanced forward unit. Put the pressure on there because it's a big unit to deal with. I generally do not split them, just because when you see a blob of 10 intercessors on the board, all my opponents have said they've had to deal with them because of the board presence they present. So they're just that board present of threat that soak up a lot of firepower over, say, a Relic Contemptor or something else that you want to flank. So that's their job, is just put the pressure in the middle and take the fight to the enemy. The assault intercessors do the same, but they usually go around the flanks. And then I have in support, so that's my troops. In the elite slot is the biggest one taken up, of course. It's 6 elite slots taken up. Yeah, all 6 elite slots taken up, and that's with the 3 Relic Contemptors, with the Volkites. 2 of them have the missiles. I have then the Redemptor with the plasma and the little mini Onslaught Gatling. Why not? So that's the 3 Relic Contemptors. And then I built and painted this week is the Redemptor. He's not completely finished, but he's tabletop finished. There's a few insignia work that I want to do on his banners, not the banners, on his name, essentially the scroll parts. I'm still going through some lessons with a friend of mine to get the scroll colours and painting properly, so they look more tabletop than my old scrolls that I used to do. So hopefully that will work out quite nicely. So yeah, that's him done, and I've put him on a base with a blue rhino. You make off which one it is, and that's just oh camera, come on, you can do it. You can do it, camera. There you go. There's his base. He's standing on a rhino, supported. Either you make of what you think of it, but it was a running joke between a friend of mine, so hopefully he gets a joke and you guys do too. So that's the Redemptor. He does have the missile pod on top, that's strength 7 on turn 1, if he can do it or not. It's more against if he survives against the planes. There's a couple of lists that do have planes, so if the plane comes over and he does survive, at least he's got an additional weapon system that he could shoot down a plane with. It does make a difference being flat 3 damage in turn 1. You know, having those extra 2 plane shots missile shots are amazing. So, and then we go across to the Leviathan. Now normally I run it with the 2 auto cannons, but I thought, why not have him as a close combat as well? So he's got the siege drill, he's got the auto cannons, and he's got the Volkite and the additional 3 missile hunter killer missiles as well. You might be wondering why he's not a shooty platform. Well, with the Primaris Redemptor on one side of the board, the other close combat dreadnought can hold the other side, and both being, you know, in the regions of 13 or 14 wounds each. You know, the Leviathan can actually hold its own on one side and threaten anything that comes towards it, with that siege drill doing 2d3, which is virtually the same amount of damage, if not more, than the Redemptor's Power Fist. It also does flat 6 against vehicles. Now this is massive against other dreadnought lists. If I can get him up there, he might even consider maybe even reserving him, depending on the list that I'm going up against, and if their dreadnoughts are going to be coming towards me like Redemptors themselves. But him alone, he's easy enough able to take down a Redemptor in a 1-to-1 combat with that flat 6 damage, you know, going down to 5, 3 going through, and that's the Redemptor dead. With 5 attacks, I know he can't get the plus. He can get the +1 to hit in the shooting, not the close combat phase. He doesn't get any re-rolls like the Redemptor does, but he also. I just thought, why not? Give him a chance in the combat phase just to see if he can prove himself, and maybe it'll be a staple within a lot of other people's armies. So that's the elite, and then of course my beautiful banner, just holding the rear with the units. Of course, he's got the Banner of Stagnator relic, and then this goes towards having those Contemptors, the Redemptors, the Intercessors, anything with a core keyword, core or character. So I wish I had the ability to give one of my Dreadnoughts character keyword, because that Leviathan would be, and then he'd be hitting on 2s in combat as well. Essentially, the Banner of Stagnation works the same way as the Space Wolves Super Doctrine. They hit on 2s in combat. But they have to be within 6 of it. The unit has to be within 6. And it's just better than the relic banner that you can purchase in the Space Marine book from the new, which just selects a unit and lets them hit on 2s. This one is just an aura that the Imperial Fists get. Why not use it and abuse it while we still have it? Because I'm sure that will go. So that's the elites. That's my troops. Fast attack has diminished. I was running 2 suppressor units with the bikes. I've now just dropped down to 1. The doubles tournament, they were the first unit to go every time. That's what the enemy troops chose to shoot at. They obviously knew the movement was massive. They do a lot of damage. We went up a lot against 2 wounded models, Marines, Sisters. Went up against Marines in our first game. Second game was Necrons, which was a tough matchup. We lost that one. And then we went up against a Marine, Sisters, another Marine and another Sisters army, and then a Tau and Dark Eldar army. So the 2 damage consistency from them is very threatening. The range, their movement. So they were the first things to go for everybody to target. Now, I don't mind that, because they're only 100 points. They're really cheap. They're really inefficient. And they do hit hard back if you don't take them out. So I dropped 1, and I think I'm just going to deep strike it in if I'm not going up against a heavy armoured vehicle unit. This does limit what they shoot back at, but if not, they'll just surround them by the banner, and if they die, they'll get a chance to shoot back from the banner. So there's a couple of plans for them. Okay, moving on then to my heavy support. I've got the Eliminators just down there. I've got the 2 las fusils with the bolt carbine on the sergeant, and then the 2 quad heavy bolters that performed extremely well in the doubles. Thoroughly impressed with these guys. They were on average killing 1 or 2 Marines. I do remember in my first game against a 5-man or a 6-man Blade Guard unit, it took the whole of my 800 points of my 1,000 point army to kill the unit, but it was the quad heavy bolters that on average was killing 1.5. So that meant that the 2 of them together firing at 24 shots heavy bolters killed 3 Blade Guards. Now you say that's, you would think that's not a lot. That's 105 points, 3 Blade Guards. But when you're looking at them having a 3-up save, pushing them to a 4-up save with the -2 in turn 1, the performance of killing 3 Blade Guard veterans actually, I think, is really quite impressive. And then, of course, the rest of the army just doing the damage that was required. So, that's the outline of the army. That's the outline of what I expect from them. Is to perform well, hopefully. What I expect to do, to go on to hopefully do well. I would like to finish, I think there's 30 plus players. I would like to finish in top 5. 30 plus players, 6 games means that I could still lose a game and still potentially have the opportunity to win. But if I do lose, I believe that if I lose a game, then I could still come top 5, and that's my goal. I keep coming mid-table. So last one I did was 14th, I think. So I'd like to come either top 5 with the experience I've had now, and the win I had with Darren has given me a bit more hope, maybe, to see if I could perform well. The 3 Relic Contemptors perform well, and they're like the crutch of the army, so why not? So run over what I've got, what I'm taking with me. I've got my objective markers that I purchased from the guys from 3D Wargaming. 6 of those to help out at the tournament. There's no issues then once they're down if I'm on it or not. I've got my travel tubs there, which the army goes in, and that gets transported around in the bigger tub just behind the books. I've got my books. I've got my dice bag with all my wonderful yellow dice in. So a friend of mine bought this for our team tournament. Amazing. And then I got my dice, my yellow dice, Imperial Fist dice, with my wonderful 6s written on there from the British Armed Forces tournament that I took part in. So thanks very much there from Andy to sort those out from the BFA. And then Darren's Twisted Dice ones, just for a couple of colour changes. I've got my wound token dice, because you need different ones just to represent your wounds. And then I use these for these are from Bolt Action, and they're for any of the 2 wounded models that have taken a wound. You throw one down, and that way then you know that he's taken a wound. So that's all in there. I've got some tokens just in case I take Rod or Raise the Banners, just to represent what I've done on the table. A couple of other things that I've been able to get hold of. A couple of these which I've cut off at 9. So these are the 9 inches away for deployment or deep striking and stuff like that. I've got a 3-inch marker from Warhammer World. When I went down to the Coventry Warhammer event that they put up there a few years back, they were doing these little gauges, and these are amazing in my opinion. There's the 1-inch one, a 2-inch one, half an inch one, and then a 3-inch one for your consolidation. It just helps doing all the quick measurements of where units are, if they're in range, if not. This massively helps in the combat phase. Just being able to just pull this out and go, okay, I'm going to move my guys 3 inches from their piling, and then they're going to move 3 inches from their for their consolidation. You know, you can really start to see how some of the professionals are able to make the combat phase the most important phase in their army, because being able to move 6 inches using these gauges in your opponent's turn or your turn is huge for moving across the table. I've got a little notepad and a pencil and a pen to be able to write down any additional scores and things like that. So no prisoners, you can write down how many kills you've had or grind them down and things like that. Tape measure, spare tape measure. You'd be surprised how many times I've needed one as it's broken. A pot with glue, an additional model just in case one breaks, or because I'm using a third-party model, just in case my opponent doesn't like the third party model or complains about it, I have 2 rapier carriers from Forge World. I'm looking at getting another one from Cromwell because I think these ones are amazing. I just like them more over the Forge World ones. So yeah, just in case my opponent doesn't like the third model, because it does give me a smaller advantage from the height difference, I can just pull out my second one and like, there you go. If you don't like it, I'll just play with this one. And then, oh, in there as well, some blue tack and some glue just in case. And then all my data cards. I got rid of all the ones I don't use, the ones I'm never going to use, the ones that aren't applicable to the Imperial Fist or the Space Marines or the units I'm taking. So just take the cards I need. That's stored in there. And then the codex, the Forge World information is in there as well, tucked in little pieces of papers in the right places that I need them. And then a bigger dice just to represent the dice turn for anybody that wants to come around and see what dice turn we're on. And that's about it. So, a bit long-winded of what the army does, how it works, what I'm doing, all my little extra bits I take with me to help out if I need to. Put these back. Bit my OCD kicking in now, they're not in the right places. Okay. So I went over the armies. Ace and Darren released all the armies and the pairings last night. So I picked up there, doing a bit of my research, working out who I've got. Worked out that the first game I'm paired against is going to be against a Tau army. He's got 2 Riptides. It's a Shadow Sword Enclave, I believe, Shadow Sword. So it's going to be a tricky one. He does have 2 bombers. To the fish bombers essentially, which are going to be tricky because they're going to do more to wounds once they fly over something. And I faced the Tau. It's been a while since I faced a full 2,000 point army Tau. I've not had much luck against them. They are pretty brutal, but I've never faced them with the 3 Relic Contemptors. So we'll have a lot of fun. You've got the 2 Riptides, got some drones, got some battle suits. I think breachers are the more common things you're seeing with the Tau army now. And from what I can read from his list, he doesn't have the XV8s. I think the XVs. No, he does have broad suits, but he doesn't have the hazard suits, which I was quite worried about because the last time I faced the hazard ones, they just obliterated me. He's got the Shadow Sun. He's got a couple of the HQ battle suits that are going to be pretty fusion heavy. So that'll be an interesting game. If I can pull either, you know, depends on the mission. If it's going to be a hold 1, hold 2, I think I've got a good chance. If it's a hold 2 or more, I struggle with the movement on the table. I struggle to get around, especially turn 1, because I'm lining up to do the maximum damage. Yeah, hide in turn 1 and do the maximum damage in turn 2 if possible. So that generally hurts me, but we'll see, because it's all about weight of dice, and unfortunately in the new sort of meta, and hopefully I've got enough weight of dice on my side with the 2 quad heavy bolters as well. I did go up against Riptide, and 2 up save is a struggle, but just pushing them up to taking the 3 up saves, a lot of 1s and 2s can be rolled if you give them enough dice to do it. So fingers crossed the heavy bolters can do that damage. Mortal wounds from the Volkites definitely will help to just take those Riptides down, and even if they pass them off to the drones, they won't have enough. Eventually the Contemptors will do their job. I start off with 5 CP, hopefully pushing that up to 8, so it's going to be tricky to get some of the Super Doctrines, but again, he's only got the 2 bombers. Everything else is monster keyworded or battlesuit keyworded, so the Super Doctrine doesn't really matter in turn 1. It would just be the flyers, so we'll see. I should have enough firepower if I go turn 1 in range to take down his flyers, and then we'll move on to turn 2 essentially. So I had a quick look. There's going to be 8 Marine armies, 5 Chaos armies. That's including Death Guard, Thousand Suns. I've got us down as 2 Knight players using the new Knight rules for the OBSEC, and that's going to be a lot of war. A lot of the smaller knights, essentially. I can't remember the Warclaves. No, that's not it. Armigers and the Chaos ones. There's a Chaos Demon army. There's an Abmech. That Chaos Demon army, I believe, has got Be'lakor, and Magnus in there. Not Magnus. Mortarion, and then a lot of Death Guard type units, Poxwalkers and Plague Bearers and stuff like that. So it's more of a Nurgle sort of demon army with Be'lakor leading the way. We've got 1 Abmech army. That's unusual, just seeing the 1 Abmech army. And 2 Necron armies. They're coming back now with the core. It is a standard Necron army. It's not the new meta, I would say, for the Necron army. I think they're just enjoying playing with their models again, getting them back out. So like 20 warriors, 10 immortals, some of the wraiths, the technomancer, the cryptomancer, a couple of lords with the resurrection orb now, with their new being able to do it on their new destroyers now. I think it looking like it's going to be a wraith heavy or destroyer heavy sort of meta now with the Necrons. Maybe with the Silent King just buffing up as many of those units as possible in every turn. But I think we're going to see more of a Wraith Destroyer sort of meta with the Necrons now, moving away from that 20-man warrior blob being jumped forward. It's going to be like a Wraith unit jumping forward, or the Destroyers. They're still going to see the OBSEC Dynasty or custom OBSEC Dynasty with the pre-move, I believe. I think that's where everybody's going to be going towards, and I don't blame them. If they get first turn with those Wraiths doing a pre-game 6-inch move, and then Y will be done and force marching, they get like a 20-inch move from them and still charge. So we'll see how that works out for him realistically. So that's Abmech, that's Necrons. We've got the 1 Tower player, like I said, generic. I wouldn't say generic, he's got the 2 Riptides, and it's more like a end of 8th, beginning of 9th sort of list. And we'll see, because with all the meta balances, Tau could see a resurgent and be able to hold their own. I saw 2 Dark Angel armies, Drukhari armies. They've got the 3 Incubi units, the 3 Raiders, plus Venoms, Racks. Not as many Witches, more Talos in their armies. So that's going to, I think they're moving towards the new meta for the Drukhari. We'll see how they go. 3 Grey Knights. And I had a quick look, and I'm pretty sure these are all from the same guys, because all 3 armies have the 5 Nemesis Dreadnoughts, yeah, and the Tech Marines to back them all up, essentially, with a couple of variations with Librarians or other HQs. But this is going to be interesting. 3 Grey Knight armies with the 5 Nemesis Dreadnoughts within them. And I'm sure one of the Dreadnoughts are going to have that ability to be move and shoot when you target them. 3 NID players. This is again a resurgent because of the balance, especially with the new Octarius data books coming out as well. They all are the new Leviathan hosts essentially, and not as many Hive Guards as I thought, but it might just be the cost of them to purchase them and buy them. So we've got one army has 6, one army has 10, one army has 11, both running either in a unit of 6 or 2 units of 5 and 6 and 5 and 4. So it's going to be a heavy Hive Guard, reroll and everything, hitting on 2 sort of thing, doing that maximum damage from range, which is interesting. It'll be fun to see it because it's not, you know, we haven't seen Tyranids do well for a while, so Ace will be happy to see that many Tyranid players turning up. We've got 2 Orc armies turning up, which is going to be fabulous. Again, they've moved, I say moved away, but of course the restrictions now have come into play. So you got one army's got the 3 buggies, one army, the 3 scrap jets, 3 booster blasters are coming back, and then a unit of 3 bikers with the OBSEC, I'm assuming, with the new speed war mobs from the Army of the Renowned. And I think the other one is going something similar, but I think they're going to stay with the 3 booters, 2 buggies, 2 speed, 2. They've got the 2 buggies and then the 2 flyers in there, the scrapjets and bombers. Yeah, one army's got the scrapjet, one army's got the bombers. So that'll be interesting to see how they do. I played a couple of Orc armies now, and they are, if they get first turn, that flat 3 damage across the board on most of their weapon system hurts. Really hurts Dreadnought army lists. So hopefully if I do face the Orcs, I get to go first, because I can really hit them hard. With strength 7 doing a lot of damage. I mean, my plasma cannon itself can take out the 8 wounded buggies instantly at strength 8, doing flat 4 damage in turn 1. Yeah, hopefully that's if I can see them, that's if I'm on range, and that's if I go first. And if I don't go first, that's if the Redemptor stays around for once they've done their firepower. But yeah, that Redemptor could take out the scrapjets and the buggies quite quickly. I know my suppressors have taken down the flyer once before. Even with strength 7, they do flat 3 damage in the first turn, reducing down to 2. You know, you think about 5 or 6 of those going through, and you can see the planes going down quite quickly. So fingers crossed that goes all well. So yeah, breakdown, that's the breakdown. We got no sisters, no guard, no custodians, and no Genestealer cults. Breaking down the chaos armies, there's going to be 3 Death Guard armies, there's going to be 1,000 Suns, and then there's going to be a generic Chaos Space Marine army, which is really cool. I looked at that one, that was really nice. The Marine, the Imperium sort of side of it, we got 2 Wolf armies, 1 Dark Angels, 1 Blood Angels, and then there's the Imperial Fists, myself, Salamanders, and 2 Ultramarine armies. The Ultramarine, one Ultramarine is true, and then the other one is its successor. I didn't delve too much into the Marine army meta lists. Maybe I should have, because I probably should have looked at the Wolves if they were going heavy with the Vanguard Veterans or the Thunderwolf Guard, and then, you know, maybe that would dictate on how they're going. I wonder if the Dark Angels list is similar to the 30 Terminator list that we saw at the Gibraltar tournament, and the Blood Angels list. I wonder if they're winning, or the Sangard, or if they moved away from that. So haven't looked into those, but I'm sure I'll see them on the day. That's going to be amazing. Anyway, so that's pretty much the list. That's pretty much my day. It's pretty much the armies that I'm hoping to face and how I play them. So yeah, as you can see, there's going to be 8 armies with Psychic Heavy leading the way. 3 Titanids, 3 Grey Knights, 1,000 Suns, and so that's 7. So 7 really heavy Psychic armies. So you know, if I can do well against all that mortal wound output from the Psychic armies. Come on, Tech Marine, you've got to hold the army together and do that -1. So yeah, that's my army, that's my plan. That's all my little bits and pieces I'm taking with me. You know, I'm going to really enjoy it, hopefully. I'll try and do something like I did at the London GT, have a quick chat with the guys at the end of the game, prior game, take some pictures. I know that it's not going to be a GT tournament, a London GT tournament sort of style terrain pieces. They've already said that on their stream, and perfectly honest, some of the terrain pieces they have are just amazing. I think the variation, it will be fantastic. And it just means that you've got to be a better commander, because you can't just keep repeating the same strategy on every table because you know the terrain. You've got to think about it before deployment. And half the time, the game is won in deployment. So fingers crossed my opponent makes more mistakes than me. So yeah, that's me. I'll catch you all later. Hopefully I'll update you next week on how it all went. So take care, guys. Any questions, drop them in the section. Hit a like on the video. I should really say that at the beginning, like, subscribe and all the other bits and pieces, but you know what, I'm just putting out enjoyable content. So catch you all guys later, and I'll see you after the week. Bye.